Bubba Wallace has picked up another major sponsor to sponsor him this season. The Circuit America's TV ratings have officially come out, and we have to talk about the DHondt situation. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. We have quite a few stories to discuss here today on the channel. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We're going to start off all the paint scheme and sponsorship news. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into those very quickly. The first paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Michael McDowell's 2020 Freight Auctions Patriotic scheme that we are going to see this weekend in the Coca-Cola 600. Really like the paint scheme a lot. You can see the camo on the car. I think did a very good job on this paint scheme. It's a great tribute as well, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this paint scheme out on the racetrack at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Martin Truex Jr.'s 2021 Bass Pro Shops Tracker Patriotic scheme that we're going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Coca-Cola 600. I've always been a big fan of Martin Truex Jr.'s Patriotic schemes. This one's no exception. It's basically the same as the last couple years, but I really do like it. They did a great job. The colors look fit very well. It gives you a patriotic feel, so they do a really good job on this paint scheme. It looks really nice, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to go take a look at is Ryan Newman's 2021 Kohler Patriotic scheme that we're going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. They did a solid job on this paint scheme. It's not the best patriotic scheme I've ever seen, but it's not the worst one I've ever seen. I think it's a solid paint scheme overall. Great to see the Kohler continues part up Ryan Newman, and I think it's a solid paint scheme overall, in my honest opinion. The next patriotic paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Chris Buster's 2020 Fifth Third Bank Patriotic scheme that we will see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You do get the Fifth Third Bank colors on Chris Buster's car, but I think you also get some red, white, and blue on the car as well. So I think they did a solid job on this one. Great to see that there are a lot of teams are doing this, and I do think they did a good job on this paint scheme overall, in my honest opinion. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Kevin Harvick's 2021 Mobil 1 Patriotic scheme that we are going to see this weekend here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Very solid patriotic colors. You do get the black, of course, but you also get the red, white, and blue on the car. I think it's a really good job. Of course, you do have the black background, but I think it's a very solid paint scheme overall. They did a solid job on this paint scheme, and I definitely look forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Jeremy Clements' 2021 Absolute Water and Sealing System scheme that we're going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This paint scheme I really do like a lot, and I also am very excited to see that Jeremy Clements continues to pick up new sponsors and new brands. It's very good to see that. Jeremy Clements has had a lot of people come up and work with him. I think a lot of it is due to the fact that success this year on the racetrack. And for a small team like this, the fact that a lot of sponsors are willing to work with Jeremy Clements is really awesome. It's great to see that another company is coming in and sponsoring him this weekend. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Bubba Wallace's 2021 DoorDash Patriotic scheme that we're going to see at Circuit of the Americas. This is an excellent paint scheme. You get the stars and all that stuff. I think they did an excellent job on this paint scheme. They did a very good job on this. The colors look very well. It's one of the nicest DoorDash cars I've seen so far. It's also one of my favorite Bubba Wallace's schemes this year. Bubba Wallace has had a lot of good paint schemes this year, but this one is no exception. This one's really good. I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Ryan Blaney's 2021 Body Armor Ed scheme that we are going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's not very patriotic, to be honest with you. It's definitely very interesting. It's very colorful, which is definitely really interesting in my honest opinion. But it's great to see the Body Armor is continuing to work with Ryan Blaney. It's great to see that for sure, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this paint scheme out on the racetrack this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Christabel's 2021 Toyota Patriotic scheme that we are going to see this weekend here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Very awesome scheme, in my honest opinion. The colors work very well. The red, white, and blue matches up very well. I'm not usually a big fan of the Toyota colors on the car, but I think you can integrate that very well. They did a good job on this scheme, in my honest opinion. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Justin Haley's 2021 Leaf Filter Patriotic scheme that we're going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Good paint scheme, in my honest opinion. The red, white, and blue works very well. I think they did a good job on his paint scheme, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I really like this paint scheme a lot. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Chase Briscoe's 2020 Production Alliance Group scheme that we will see when he races an Xfinity Series for Beach McLeod Motorsports. Very solid scheme, in my honest opinion. I know Production Alliance Group colors definitely can be bland at times, but I think they did a very good job on this paint scheme for sure, and I hope it will help him have a very strong run in the Xfinity Series for BJ McLeod Motorsports. The next paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Anthony Alfredo's 2021 Death Wish Coffee scheme that we're going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I really like this paint scheme a lot. You get the white number, of course. We also have the black contrast on the background of the car as well, and the color is also black, which I think did a very good job on this paint scheme for sure, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Corey LaJoie's 2021 Diamond Creek paint scheme that we're going to see this weekend here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Patriotic colors work very, very well. Spire Motorsports has some very, very awesome schemes. And you get the contingency sponsors on the side, which no other team really, really does. And that's one thing that really also makes the paint scheme really awesome, is the contingency sponsors. The red, white, and blue in the car looks very, very awesome. And I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Ryan Preece's 2020 Kroger Coca-Cola Patriotic scheme that we are going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm going to say I'm kind of iffy on this paint scheme, to be honest with you. I think they did a good job integrating the red, white, and blue, but it's a little bit all over the place, to be honest with you. I think JT Doherty's had some good schemes this year and has also had some iffy schemes this year and some bad ones, like the throwback one. And this one's no exception. It's kind of in the middle, to be honest with you. It's not terrible, but I expect him more, to be honest with you. I think JT Doherty needs to fire whoever's designing these cars because it's not that great, to be perfectly honest with you. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s 2020 Cottontail Patriotic scheme that we're going to see this weekend here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I do not like this paint scheme. It looks terrible. The colors do not look very, very well. It's kind of bland. There's nothing I'm really a big fan of. I think this is one of the worst ones we've seen so far this year, and I'm not a big fan of this paint scheme, in my honest opinion. And the final paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Timmy Hill's 2021 Cobalt Enterprises scheme that we're going to see in the Xfinity Series race if he's able to qualify in for Charlotte Motor Speedway. This paint scheme is actually really cool, in my honest opinion. It's great to see that another company is partnering up with NBM Motorsports. One thing that's kind of been a struggle over NBM Motorsports. I think it's really, really cool to see that a company is willing to work with them, and great to see that Cobalt Enterprises is going to be working with them coming up here very, very soon. And now we're going to go ahead and jump onto all the other major stories in today's episode. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into those stories very, very quickly. The first story we're going to talk about is the rain tire test that took place at Richmond International Speedway this past week. So Joey Logano was at that test, and he said there were 3 teams that were test, and he says that they tested mud flaps at the races. He indicates that work still needs to be done to control the spray. He said there is no spray with the slick still, but that's something that has to do with the treads. Very, very interesting, honestly. Like I mentioned, there was a rain tire test that took place on Monday. We've got a little more details in regards to that. That's one thing that does have to be fixed when it comes to the rain racing, of course. It's one issue we had at Circuit America this past week was that there was a lot of spray issues and you really couldn't see them. Visibility became a massive, massive problem. And we saw 2 really, really bad wrecks. We saw Cole Custer's and Mark Jr.'s wreck, which was very, very bad. One of the worst wrecks I've seen definitely so far this year. And you also had the wreck with Bubba Wallace, Kevin Harvick, and Christopher Bell, where their cars are absolutely destroyed because they couldn't see and there was nowhere really to go for them. So they really had nowhere to go. That's one of the big issues. Is another thing I would like to see them do going forward when it comes to the rain situation, when it does rain race, because we can definitely race in the rain. That blinker on the back of the car needs to be bigger. It was the size of a golf ball. You couldn't really see that. But it's great to see that Joey Logano said they're testing mud flaps. Mud flaps is something I think that they do need to bring on the car. I think it definitely overall will help the racing, and maybe they're going to be able to integrate that into the next-gen car. I think it was a very solid, good feedback indicating I think they did a really good job, and it's definitely good to see this. Again, you can race in damp and cooler conditions, but not in really, really rainy conditions, something that they're going to have to fix going forward. And of course, I think the windshield wipers definitely is another thing that they're going to have to fix going forward as well. That is just my honest opinion on that. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode as we are talking about the Circuit of America's TV ratings for this past weekend. And to be honest with you, they are not very pretty. According to Adam Stern, FS1 earned a 1.44 rating and 2.362 million viewers for Sunday's inaugural Echo Park, Texas Grand Prix as Circuit of America's, good enough to make the channel the most viewed cable network during the event. Yet the PGA Championship final won the weekend with 6.58 million viewers. Now, there's a lot of things that I need to say. Number one, they promoted the hell out of this event, and they did not put this on the main Fox network. The ratings would be way up if you put this race on the main Fox network. It's not the crazy amount of road courses that are on the schedule. If you put this race on the main Fox network like you did for Daytona Road Course, I guarantee you the ratings would be really, really up right now. But the problem is that you promoted this event and you put it on the FS1 market. Same thing with the Rebel 400 race. They should have put that one on the main Fox network instead of the FS1 network. When you promote a race like this, said this is the best season ever, you put that race in there, you should have put that on the main Fox network. That's just my honest opinion of that. You also had that Phil Mickelson was making history and making his return. And he basically ended up winning the PGA Tour tournament, the championship that happened. So that's another big reason why the ratings, in my opinion, are really, really down. It's still not very good, to be honest with you, but you had the PGA Tour that was going on at the time. And you also had a red flag that happened during that event, which probably lowered the ratings very, very considerably since there was a couple red flags that ended up taking place. That's just my opinion on the situation. I think that's why the ratings overall were really, really down for the event. They are disappointing, don't get me wrong, and hopefully we will be able to go back up for this weekend's Coke 600. I do expect that we're going to see quite a few viewers for this year's Coke 600. But yeah, definitely really interesting to see the ratings are really, really down. Considerably, Dover had more viewers, which is really interesting. And you have a couple, I think, 3 million viewers for the previous event at Darlington for the Rebel 400 race, which I found really, really interesting as well. But I think in my honest and sincere opinion, they should have had the Circuit America race on the main Fox network. That is just my honest opinion on that. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to first of two major stories in today's episode. Let's jump straight into this. So, it was reported this morning by Adam Stern that Logitech has signed Bubba Wallace to a new endorsement deal that will see him become the face of a sim racing product line. This is a massive, massive company. Logitech is an absolutely major, major company when it comes to mouses, mouse pads, when it comes to gaming chairs, and gaming, among other things. And Logitech, like I mentioned, is a massive, massive company. It joins a list of major, major sponsors that are working with Bubba Wallace. You have companies like DoorDash, McDonald's, Dr. Pepper, Columbia, among other sponsors that are working with Bubba Wallace that are sponsoring this year, along with DraftKings that is sponsoring later this year. And maybe this could also, in long-term future, sponsor Bubba Wallace. And maybe if he is able to get Logitech as a main sponsor on his race car, this could, in my honest opinion, open up the door of 2311 expanding. We've talked about this on the channel quite a few times. We've talked about the potential of 2311 expanding. I think that this could definitely help in regards to that. But man, the fact that Logitech is partnering up with Bubba Wallace is absolutely really, really cool. I know that Bubba Wallace has not had the greatest results this year, and I think a lot of people have been really against Bubba Wallace getting all these sponsors due to the situation that happened last year. We all know the situation that happened last June and last July. But this is definitely crazy to see another massive company is continuing to work with Bubba Wallace. And the fact that Logitech is coming into NASCAR to work with Bubba Wallace is really, really cool. Also wondering in the future what other sponsors are going to be wanting to and willing to want to work with Bubba Wallace going forward. I think the fact that Bubba Wallace has a lot of sponsors that are coming in is really, really good for the sport. I think this is definitely an awesome to see, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this. This is great to see a Logitech is partnering up Bubba Wallace for the sim racing product line as well. This is great for the sim racing product line. A lot of people would say William Byron would be the perfect choice, but I think Bubba Wallace is a very solid choice for that, in my honest opinion. Plus, Bubba Wallace can get the name and the brand out going forward. And now we're going to go ahead and jump onto the final major story of today's episode as we are talking about the Eddie DeHondt situation. For a lot of you that have not been paying attention over the last 12 hours, it was officially came out and reported on NASCAR Reddit that Eddie DeHondt apparently had a warrant out first arrest from a while back, and apparently he had been arrested 2 weeks ago on the 12th of May for 2 counts of assault. One of them was against a female, the other one was against an unborn child. There was 2 counts of this that came out. Now, there's some new information that's come out in regards to the situation. Apparently, this situation did not stem from arrest on the 12th of May. Apparently, this all started on September 7th of 2020, and it stems from the fact that arguments over a jet ski. Apparently, he made full-body contact with the woman, and that's what she said. Now, like I said, the warrant was not issued basically until the 12th of May. I don't know if it was because cooperation or something like that, but there was issue back then. Now, there's been also some updates in regards to the situation as well. Eddie DeHondt has suspended indefinitely by Hendrick Motorsports, and he's not going to be working there, and we'll talk about that in a second. And he also has been suspended by NASCAR for not giving the notice of 72 hours for criminal activity like misdemeanors or felonies. The first question I have is this. I'm very surprised, to be honest. Hendrick Motorsports said that they were not involved in the situation. First of all, he's been able to spot for the last 2 weeks he was arrested. Apparently, he got released on bond from the reports and from the cases. Apparently, he got released on bond, and apparently, he'd been spotting for the last 2 races. And, you know, I don't know how nobody knew this. It's crazy that no one knew about this. I have a feeling that someone did know about this from, like, Hendrick Motorsports, or someone from NASCAR knew about this, but they kept this under the rug. I really don't know, to be honest with you, but this is absolutely crazy stuff. That's the first question I have, and how did he not report this? Now, for a lot of people saying blame that Chase Elliott knew and Rick Hendrick knew, I personally do not think Rick Hendrick or Chase Elliott knew about the situation. If they're saying that they just found out this morning that the situation happened, that's crazy stuff. I mean, you know, if they didn't know about this and he kept this under rug for 2 weeks, that's really, really bad on his part. And the fact that he's been spotted even since September 7th, when the situation happened. He didn't get arrested right then, and it took him nearly 5 or 6 months to end up arresting Eddie DeHondt is absolutely wild and absolutely crazy because, you know, Eddie DeHondt did this stuff a while back. We know the history of Eddie DeHondt. Eddie DeHondt's been a spotter in NASCAR for quite some time. He's spotted for Chase Elliott, he spotted for Kyle Busch, and he spotted for Jeff Gordon. He won the championship in 2020. And all this stuff that's happened to Chase Elliott as well, when he's basically been able to like have good things happen to him. First career win, Brian France gets arrested for a DUI. The November situation won a championship. We know about that situation with Joseph Lombard. And now this situation, Hendrick Motorsports ties, Eddie DeHondt basically had arrest. By the way, innocent until proven guilty, but I believe that Eddie DeHondt did this, and I hope Eddie DeHondt never gets back into the sport because this stuff is unacceptable, and it should not be forgiven at all. What Eddie DeHondt did, I have no respect for the man, and he definitely deserves to not get an opportunity to come back in the sport once again. And in fact, I think NASCAR did the right thing by suspending him indefinitely. They need to make sure, I do not hope he comes back into the sport. And a lot of people are bringing up the Kurt Busch situation. For the record, Kurt Busch was not arrested for the situation, and we found out that the crazy bitch was basically lying, compared to the situation Eddie DeHondt, where he basically was arrested for it and released on bond and was still working in the sport. I think that's a little bit fishy, to be honest with you. The other big question right now that I have around a situation, who's going to end up spotting for Chase Elliott? That's another question that's coming up right now because Eddie DeHondt's been spotting for Chase Elliott for the last couple of years. I know a lot of people are saying that maybe his father, Bill Elliott, could spot for him since he's been spotting him for him at road course racetracks. I think the spotter for Chase Elliott is going to end up being Trey Poole. Now, for a lot of you know who Trey Poole is, Trey Poole actually spotted this past weekend as a third spotter for Chase Elliott this past weekend at Circuit of the Americas. And a lot of people have been bringing up his name. Apparently, he was really, really good with Chase Elliott and was really understanding with him. I think that this honestly could set Chase Elliott back, though, because he's going to have to learn a lot more with Trey Poole. I know he did a really good job with Chase Elliott because he spotted him to a victory this past weekend. And this could really help Chase Elliott. But I think this will hurt Chase Elliott at least for a little bit of this year. I really don't see him going back to win the championship after this, considering it's going to take time for him to gel with his new spotter. It takes a lot of time for drivers to gel with their new spotters. It takes a lot of time for that. I just find this situation absolutely came out of nowhere. I did not expect the situation to come up, to be honest with you. And more details are probably going to be coming out as the day goes on. This situation has blown up absolutely crazy, and we'll have to see what happens going forward. Apparently, the court case is supposed to be on June 7th, so we'll find out what happens going forward. But yeah, this situation is absolutely crazy, and the fact that this situation has been hitting for a long time is absolutely nuts. And Eddie DeHondt, I think, is absolutely to blame. Eddie DeHondt's absolutely to blame for this. He knows better. He knew better. He got pissed off because of jet ski VIP stuff. I mean, that's absolutely nuts and absolutely crazy. And it's something that I did not expect to be talking about or reporting about today on the channel. So, anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notification on to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Link description below for that, and comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts about the Eddie DeHondt situation? Let me know in the comments below. And what are your thoughts about Bubba Wallace partnering up with Logitech? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.